All right, we're back for another edition of Less Kevin, More Tech from UTECIT.com. And today we've got a special guest remoting in from Jacksonville, Florida. Is that where we find you today, Bill?
That's where I am today, beautiful Jacksonville.
So we have Bill Stephenson from PEAC Solutions. Anybody that's been on our channel or our business knows Bill from, he's been an industry leader for many years, haven't you, in this space?
Long time. Love the imaging business.
You used to peddle copiers, then you peddled leasing, and now you're running crazy organizations all over the world, aren't you?
Yeah, trying. Taking what you learn. There's nothing like cold calling door to door, knowing that you've got to keep persevering and overcome that rejection to pay rent. Remember the old straight commission days with your copier in the van and waiting for somebody to say so you could roll it right in and demo it.
It's funny when we talk to new kids, man, they look at you like you got three heads when you tell them that, right?
Oh, I know. They had no idea what it was about, right?
No, none at all. So, hey, we were down in at your place there in Jacksonville, and we were at TPC Sawgrass, and you're kind enough to host us in there for the Players Championship, and I want to talk about that and a beautiful environment, and then seeing what PEAC did from a charity standpoint and contributions you guys make and give back.
Mm-hmm.
I want to talk on that, but before I get into all that here in a second, anybody that, I mean, we see Brian Chandler and Bob Tim, and they're running at every event, and then they're at every co-op group and SDG meeting and BTA organization talking about leasing. But just tell us about PEAC Solutions. What are we talking about when we talk about PEAC?
Well, PEAC Solutions, if you know, copier business and the leasing business go hand in hand. About 90% of it is leasing. It's been that way for over 40 years. And leasing is really the only part of the sales process that the copier reps do not control, right? They control everything up to the customer and configuring the machine and setting up the solutions. And then all of a sudden they need to finance it. And that's when they lose control. And, for the last 40 years, the leasing industry has been controlled probably 7 to 8 bank-owned leasing companies. And there really hasn't been a new company emerging in this industry in the United States, let alone internationally. During COVID, I saw an opportunity after spending 40 years, I should say, in this business, being the CEO of one of the world's largest finance institutions, that I'd pretty well run my course, and I knew disruption was coming. And I thought, rather than waiting for it, why not be the disruptor? So I hooked up with HPS, one of the world's largest private credit companies, which is soon to be BlackRock. That should close next month, and set out to build the world's first international independent leasing company. And for the last 3 years, that's what I've been doing. We're now in 16 countries. We're the third largest independent in America. The Monitor 40 just came out. We're in the top 10 leasing companies in the United States, and that includes banking leasing. And it's really built on 4 things, Kevin. It's built on number one is creating the best technological solution that we have. So, everybody's on 30-year-old legacy IT systems. They've been that way. I was that way. So rather than try to renovate a 30-year-old house, the beauty of starting a brand new company is you can build it with state-of-the-art technology, cloud-based, Salesforce front end, able to do APIs in weeks instead of years. So having the technology is a massive differentiator than us. Number 2, pretty much not unlimited capital, but with HPS and BlackRock, we want to grow, and most of the banks are conserving capital, so that gives us a competitive advantage. And then 3, international, where PEAC stands for Pan-European Americas Capital Solutions. So we're in Europe, we're in the US and in the Americas. And number 4, the best people in the industry. And that's, I think, at the end of the day, any company, it's the people that drive it. It's the people that make it work, the people that have a passion for vision, and the people that are willing to put the 12 hours a day in because they believe and love what they're doing, knowing that they're helping our customers like you really differentiate and grow market share with our partnership.
Well, I mentioned two of them. I'm a big fan of Brian Chandler and Bob Tim. I
Mhm.
think they're great, but I've been amazed at just the back end of the house too. The people you have back there that you've been able to
Mhm.
pick off and snipe along the way from these other companies and bring them over. It's a rock star team on the back end, isn't it?
It really is. You're doing something. I mean, we bought this small company called Marlin, and really bought them to have the licensing rather than starting greenfield. Right? They were
Uh huh.
doing about 250 million. We're now in less than 3 years doing 1.6 billion in origination. And I think I look at small things. I looked at LinkedIn when we bought Marlin. I think they had 800 subscribers to the company, and we just broke 12,000. Right,
Yeah.
so that kind of tells you. And I bet I get 10 requests a week on people wanting to join this great team. So that to me is a testimonial in itself that people are aware of Peak. We're starting to make an impact. People like to be part of winners, and but I really love the people that took the risk with me 3 years ago, not wanting to join now that they know that they got water around their ankles on the boat and want to get on the Carpathia. You know what I mean?
Well, you answered the why because I remember. I mean, here you were at that other company. You're at the top of the mountain, and I think you've taken every flight you could with that other company and been around the world. And uh, you had such a long and distinguished, decorated career, and you retire. And I pick up the monitor, or it was I can't remember if it was on Andy Slutsky's thing. I see
Mhm.
PEAC Solutions, Bill Stephenson just buys Marlin. And I'm like, what the hell is he doing? You know what? You don't want to do this again, do you? And I was trying to think why. And hell, you would have fired any one of us, and you probably did fire me if we lost to Marlin. You know, at the time, I'm thinking he's buying Marlin. What's the plan here for this? And it's been amazing. And just you said just 3 short years, what you guys have done, it's
Yeah,
incredible.
yeah. I mean, we want to be the best at what we do, and the only way that determines that is our customers continue to utilize our services because not only of the partnership and they like the people, but truly it gives them a competitive advantage. I think there's going to be massive disruption with the banking leasing companies. You're already seeing it. The next couple years, I think, will be transformative. Leasing companies owned by banks have always been the last to be fed when capital is tight. It's really not core. Banks are into corporate partners and mortgages and loans, and leasing has always been a great product to put excess capital, make a decent profit, but is it really core to them? Whereas this is all that we do, and HPS, they want us to grow profitably, to be as big as we can be, and provide us the capital necessary to do it. And we're going to make sure that before we bite something off, we can absorb it. We obviously, as you know, with the recent arrangement with one of the big manufacturers out there, is really, it's getting that off their book on our book has been a challenge,
Uh
and
huh.
we're working through that. But I know that when we come out of it, we're going to be a lot better for it, because of the four items that I mentioned to you before. Don't
Sure.
underestimate the importance of having superior state of the art technology compared to the 30-year-old legacy IT systems our competitors are operating on.
Oh yeah.
And we want to give your reps point of sale capability. We want to give your reps, while they're sitting there, that they truly now can control the leasing decision and get that customer to e-doc and sign it before they leave, so they don't risk the chance of slippage by another company coming in while they're trying to get a credit approval.
Sure. Sure. So going back when I worked under you for at that other company, I always admired your leadership and the way you could bust our chops and make us work harder. And I think that anybody that's been around you appreciates uh, you know your people skills and how you motivate people and all that. But I always admired you from a businessman that we faced back in that time, with the banking crisis, 2008, and everything was going to hell in a handbasket. And I remember we'd always say, we need better rates. And you'd be on the conference calls or in our meetings with us and say, guys, they're taking a shortcut. We're not going to do that. We're looking long term. We're going to be a rock that our customers can count on. And you really weathered the storms by not, just going down to the lowest price or taking the shortcuts just to appease what we wanted. And you really led through that. I think we're in that same situation now. I think you alluded to it with the banks or, with right now with the funding and the economy. We got tariffs now. There's private equity that's disrupting the copiers. Uh, What would your advice be to dealers and manufacturers and the partners out there? Do you still take the same look at this, or?
Well, I do. I mean, people thought I was crazy. I started a brand new global leasing company in probably the worst economic financial times since '09, right?
Uh huh.
And we've grown, and we're not the cheapest by any stretch of the imagination. And anybody that resorts to price doesn't have value. They can't differentiate. They're in my opinion, price cutters are very, very weak when it comes to the profession of sales. All right, because you have to believe in your product, you have to believe in your company, and there's a value to that. And if your customers see it, they're going to be willing to pay it. I mean, customer service just doesn't exist anymore, and it died. It was dead before COVID. It
Uh
really
huh.
died after that because companies cut costs at the expense of their customers. I mean, you try now to get a hold of somebody on the phone if you have to reset your internet or you have to, you get an
You
appointment
can't.
for your air conditioning. I mean, you go through, automation and this and leave an email, and then it's painful. And I wanted to bring back personalized customer service. I wanted, when a customer calls, I want a human being to pick up because there's a reason you're calling, and that means you have an issue, and we're there to resolve it, and that's what partnership is about. So, if you really believe in what you're doing, and I think the one thing that has proven me well over time is I'm not a 38th floor CEO. I'm a guy in the trenches, right? I mean, if somebody, probably the greatest compliment anybody ever gave me was they call me General Patton, right? He goes, "You're a field general. You're in the field." And that goes back to out of college. I sold copiers door to door in Houston, Texas, where it was 16% unemployment in 1983,
Uh huh.
right? And I just had to make 50, 60 cold calls a day to eat. I didn't have any money. If I didn't sell, I didn't eat. It was straight commission, right?
Yeah.
But you learned through persevering rejection, you learn to understand that you always tell the truth, even if the answer is no and it costs you the sale, right? But you don't just say no. You want to find out from the customer, why is that important to them? Don't say, "Hey, can your equipment do this?" And it can't, and you say yes. Rather than say, "No, I can't," say, "Well, why is that important to you?" And
Hmm.
and and try to find a solution. And if you can't do it, I think your customers will respect you more than if not. And by understanding the industry and taking that to the leasing business, I think that segmentation and specialization, Kevin, served me well with my teams when you work for me, and as many other people have in this industry, because I never asked you guys to do anything I hadn't done myself, right? And I knew the industry, I knew the objections, I knew the conditions, I knew the products, I knew the competitors, I knew the weaknesses, all of that. And out of that, if you know that and do your research, you can carve your value proposition, and you don't have to cut price,
Hmm.
because if you can convey that to your customers, they'll be willing to pay it because you've done something nobody else has. And that is just say, how much is it going to take for you to buy my machine?
Yeah. No, I watch and you would say, "Hey, look, these guys are doing this. It's a short-term play. It's not sustainable. They're not going to be there at the end." And you've seen it in the leasing industry, right? How many guys have come and gone, and
Absolutely.
customers are upset that they're getting billed for all these extra charges, and the end of term is a nightmare, and
Hmm.
there's only you can't avoid it, can you?
No, no. Look, at the end of the day, cost of funds are cost of funds, and the cost to process the business is the cost to process the business. So if it sounds too good to be true, there's something that they're planning on the back end to make up for it, and that
Uh
will
huh.
be at the expense of your partnership and the expense of your customer. See, I always viewed that the lessees that we financed aren't our customers. They're your customers.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's always been your belief.
You are our customers. And there's many other leasing companies that view the lessee as being their customer,
Correct.
because I want you to trade that customer up, 3 years from now, 6 years from now. I want to have that customer as long as you have that customer and support them. So, that's a philosophical difference that I think we have out there that many other leasing companies don't.
Well, that's what I always tell my peers as we gather and we talk about best practices and stuff. And leasing companies come up often and lease rates, and I'm always like, just be careful. You see the
Yeah,
pattern; it's proved out. You got to be careful. You got to pick a horse that's going to be there. And as you said, it's our customer that we share the customer, right?
we do.
And
Well, you remember when black and white and color started coming out, right?
uh-huh,
And all the leasing companies started taking a higher residual value on the color.
yep,
And that was part of the pricing argument that we had. And I said,
uh-huh,
guys, I'll be honest with you, this isn't a revolution. A 5-year-old segment 3 color copier from now is going to be worth the same as a 5-year-old black and white. And remember, it cost us market share. We wouldn't play in that game.
hmm
Because it impacted our rates. They were taking 22% residuals, and we were still staying with 13. But 3-4 years later, when that portfolio started to churn, guess what the residual value was of those color copiers? 12 to 13%. And you saw many leasing companies, you remember, end up shutting their doors or closing down or
oh yeah,
taking massive losses and
hmm
raising the rates. So, and I'll be honest with you, I couldn't have made that decision if I wasn't a field general. I couldn't have made that informed decision if I didn't sell copiers and really understand the industry. I probably would have fell in line with, the sales guys saying, "Hey man, we got to raise residuals on this color stuff." Right.
yeah.
So, yeah,
Well, you've always had your pulse on what's happening out there, and you've always been a leader that can look around the corner too and see what's coming, and
hmm
know what's there. So that I think it's. I mean, you've proven it in 3 years. Peak's so well positioned, and they're going to continue to do big things with how you guys run your business. So now we've set you up, and you made all this money with these lease rates here, and you got all this money. What do you like to do with it once you acquire all this extra money?
what do I personally, or what's the plan for Peak?
No, I know Peak has been you've always been a very strong leader, and you've always uh, best business practices. Look for partnerships, mutually beneficial for the company you represent, and then whatever partners you're working with. But there's a charitable side to you that I don't know if everybody always sees that you got a big heart in there. And you're
Yeah,
always giving back, and anywhere you've been a leader at the forefront of giving back on that.
yeah. I came from humble beginnings, right? I mean, I didn't have anything. I put myself through college. My first job was straight commission,
What was Florida
hard
State a
work.
4-year university?
It's yeah, kind of. I got out in 3.5 though, because I couldn't afford rent for 6 months. True story. I graduated early. But
I should interrupt. That wasn't fair because he's a big Florida State fan. Anybody knows Bill knows he's big time Knowles, so we'd love to give you a hard time on that. But you got a great degree from a great university, and so now you're taking this money, you're giving back to a lot of charities, right?
yeah, I mean, I think that, I know a lot of people that have been blessed, and I truly believe that I've been blessed. I've not only been blessed in my life with my family and the people around me, but I've been blessed to work with just thousands and thousands of great people and running into them and knowing that I could have touched them in some way through my experience or suggestions, knowledge, and quite frankly, even maybe hard love with a few of them and how they learn from that. But I always believe that part of that reward obviously is the financial success that comes with that hard work and being able to give back to those who are less fortunate or being able to impact some things. And I will tell you, when I really first kind of started doing well close to 20 years ago, I said I wanted to pick a charity, and I looked at many charities, And the one that continued to stick out with me was Make-A-Wish. Close to 93 cents of every dollar goes to that charity. It's amazing, Kev. Some of these charities, less than 50% goes to the charity, so you
For
got to do
sure.
your research. And, fast forward close to 700 wishes we've granted over the last 15 years or so, raised over 8 million. In my previous company, it became a very, very big charity for us. So when I started Peak and moved to Jacksonville, I said, why not take 2 weeks after the tournament
Uh-huh.
and do something really, really special? And we really appreciate you being one of the pioneer sponsors of that for us. And, we had our, third annual coming up, and we raised close to $250,000, and our goal this year is hopefully to get close to 300,000, and all of that goes to the children, and all that goes to granting wishes to those that are going through something that I pray nobody really ever has to go through,
Hmm.
to give their family just a little break from the reality, and kind of just enjoy something that is very, very special to them while they're going through such difficult times. So I mean, I don't think you can. I don't like taking credit for it. I really don't like uh, really talking about it much, but it is something that is very close to my heart, and quite frankly, it's close to everybody that is touched by it. And I think you've been there since the beginning, and I know that every time you're there, you walk away going, you know what, I did something really good today, and that's all you could do in life, right?
Well, I know I had to beg you to do this because you don't want to talk about it. You want to kind of keep it. It's the best kept secret, but it just mind blowing to be down there and you listen to these. You always have somebody come down and talk about their story and what the impact makes, and the folks from Make a Wish. I mean, they're 700 wishes, $8 million in what 19 years. You said it,
Hmm.
it's crazy. And then it was this year was 250, and I remember the young
Hmm.
lady talking about that and impact, and just seeing appreciation, gratitude from the folks at Make a Wish was pretty amazing. And selfishly, it's a pretty kick ass day too, isn't it?
It's yeah. I mean, if you're a golfer, there's nothing like it. So
No,
yeah,
no. Yeah, you get down there you go out to the range, and while people are hitting balls on the range, we got Bill Stephenson blasting Metallica or somebody in the background on the speakers, and everybody at TPC, Mr. Stevenson, and the staff down there, the hospitality is just off the charts, with
right.
every need that they address, and then you get to play, a top 20 golf course in the country, right after the tournament. It
Right.
it it's really cool. It's
Well, and
like nothing else you'll
we
do.
don't jam the tournament up, right? We just have 18, 20 foursomes. So to play TPC in under 4 hours is unprecedented. I can tell you that, because
Yeah.
everybody gets to 17 and unloads their bag and takes a bunch of pictures, and it's just a great day. And I think next year I'm gonna look at doing a 3-hole playoff. Let's because I 16, 17, 18 are the best finishing holes in golf. You could ask just about any pro. So
Uh-huh.
rather than just do the shootout on 17, let's do a cumulative score
Yeah.
through the last 3 holes. I think that'd be a blast. I think that'd be
What
a blast. So
Well, the first year we went, it was the most Bill Stevenson thing I think I've seen. You just said, "Hey, everybody, we're gonna meet at 17 after it's over." And we thought, okay, what we're doing, everybody pulls up with the carts, and he's like, "There's too many cheaters in here. What we're gonna do is we're gonna take the top two winners, and then you dump the balls down the hill there. If anybody's been to
yeah,
TPC, and you took like the next six balls, and everybody's trying to think what we're doing. And well, now there's a playoff. You like
the playoff.
competition, you like the
Yeah.
pressure. You made everybody get up there, alternate shot, and you weed out the teams, and everybody's like, "Holy cow, this is this is the way to do a golf tournament."
Well, yeah, it's really not about winning, although at the end of the day, we're all competitive, right? But I think that that just created some camaraderie, and everybody wrote their team number on a golf ball, and I put it in a bucket and threw it down the hill, and the 6 balls that so some of the worst teams got in the playoffs,
Uh-huh.
but the top two teams, who knows? You never know with handicaps who's really the top two teams. So yeah.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. I know this year we had a second team, and they won, and they were all excited. But They said it was one of the most nerve-wracking shots they do because you got everybody around there watching, and you got Stephenson on a microphone giving commentary
Heckling, yeah,
about your dress and your golf shot and your golf swing. So it's pretty cool. But
yeah.
it's a great event, and you have a lot of dealers. I know Larry Weiss has been from
Hmm.
Atlantic's been instrumental in supporting that and being down
Yep.
there, and just a lot of great people, and it's just a really special day. And
But also, too, one thing, it gave it also, you get to interact with CEOs and top people of other companies. I know that you hooked up with Whit Perriman down in Dallas, who
yeah,
runs a big construction and Bobcat dealership, one of the largest in America. Real close friend of mine. He's been one of the top sponsor for over 15 years of our tournament. And I know you two connected, and I think you hosted him up for a football game.
yeah,
So
when Texas
I mean,
came
he
up
talks
here.
about you a lot, and to me, that's icing on the cake, right? If we can bring great people together that never would have met before, and that becomes a lasting friendship, that's just cherry on the pie, as far as I'm
Yeah, and
concerned.
that's a great point because you do
Yep.
get the network in that environment, and it's not how many teams can you get in there, as you alluded to. You got
Hmm.
18, you keep it 18, 20, where you're moving quick, and it really gives you a chance to meet people and build some friendships and relationships, and it's
Right.
a great group. So, and the
Hmm.
other thing is that leading up to that, throw the bucket out there. Anybody's listening, you want to make sure that you do enough business with Peak to get invited down to come down and see the TPC, right? Because
Well, that's we have two different events, right? We have the customer appreciation event during the tournament, which is called
Mhm.
the Peak VIP tournament, where there's only 300 tickets. And I was one of the first when they started it about 8 years ago. And you have complete club, that complete club access. The pros are in there. They bring in chefs from all over the world. You're the
Oh,
only ones that have access to the clubhouse, and then you have a
yeah.
private suite on 18, a private suite on 17, and they're going to open it up further to roped off holes if you want to walk around. But we bring in 20 customers a day, and for the 6 days of the event, and there's a lot of interaction and team building, and I try to mix it up so you guys can meet people that you normally don't meet. So, yeah, if you guys are interested, reach out to your reps, and let's see if we can get you in. First come, first serve.
Had
It
to pump
fills
some
up
leasing
fast.
business through you. Yeah, you
It
got to
fills
do
up.
that. But
It fills up fast.
well, no, and that truly is. You call it the VIP experience, and people say that, but they don't understand VIP until they've gone through this with you. And it starts
Mm.
with Tina, Nancy, and how they have that organized, and their teams, and just everybody down there. You can't describe it. You got to go see it, right? You got to do
You
it
do.
once, and you'll understand what VIP means.
Yeah. Shoot me an
So,
email if you're interested. So I'm on
well,
LinkedIn.
well, good. Anything else we should know about Peak and the leasing? Anything that?
No, no, I'm just, every day's another challenge, another opportunity. I tell my kids that, this, and I also tell anybody else that would listen is, I mean, if you don't wake up every morning feeling a little uncomfortable and butterflies in your stomach as you start your day, then you're in the wrong position. That means you're not in a position where you're being challenged, you're not being developed. You probably let complacency set in, and complacency is the death of growth and innovation and fresh ideas, right?
Hmm.
And I mean, the worst night of the week for sleep for me is Sunday night, because my head's just spinning about all the things that I got to do come Monday morning. And, I lost that in my previous job. I mean, I was actually sleeping in on Mondays, sitting in an office during COVID, and when you reach that point, if you're in a position where you can't move to a more challenging one, then you have to create a challenging one. And
Hmm.
that was the genesis of Peak. And I can tell you right now, 4 or 5 hours sleep a night for me, I'm up and going, because Europe, right? Europe
Right.
6 hours ahead. I start, 4 or 5 a.m. I got meetings. I get there. I take a little break, get ready for US. But it's fun. It's exciting, and really not doing it for me. I'm really doing it for the next generation. I think this is a beautiful profession. It's a great industry, and a lot of it's going to die off. And Peak Solution is going to be the new standard. for thousands and thousands of families and members for hopefully decades to come. And that's really the motivation behind me doing this.
Well, that's very true because you've always been, whether it's the managers beneath you or the reps below that, you've been big on career development. You know, what are you doing to get better? What are you doing to better
Hmm.
yourself? How are you going to leave this place? How are you going to leave? What's your legacy that you're going to leave? Um, you really push that, and you care about people. You want to give back, and you see it with what
Hmm.
you do with Peak and the Make a Wish, and there's other. We just talked about Make a Wish. I know there's many other things that you guys do at Peak. You're just being too humble right now on all the things you support, and there's.
Right.
I don't think you can tell anybody no when they come to you for a favor or to support a good cause if you believe in
No.
the mission. But uh, continued success, and thank you for being a bright spot out there in a industry that often gets overlooked as just a commodity. It's not a commodity. You're selling a
Mm.
true product with a lot of value behind it. And if anybody's not using Peak, they're crazy not to take a look at it and see how they could be in a better position.
I appreciate that, man. Thank you, and God bless, and have a great day, buddy.
All right, well, give Tibor hell for me, and make sure you tell Nancy thank you for all she does.
Okay, I will. I will.
One last thing, we got to usually do the bourbon here, tasting of what bourbon we like. So, give me two things. What if tonight when you're done and you land in New York and you go to reach for that bourbon, what flavor? And then give me a prediction on the Knowles this year.
I'm gonna drink a little Weller tonight in the hotel that I'm in. They got a little bottle of Weller in the back there that they kind of keep. So I'm gonna do have a little neat shot of that. And it's tough on the Knolls, right? Because of what we just went through. But we have a whole new transformation taking place there. Definitely a bowl game, and I like 8+ wins.
Okay,
Is
I like it.
call that success. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
So
So, well, thank you for Peak Solutions for all you guys do for our industry and the channel and making everybody better and giving back. And I appreciate the friendship and good fortune to you. All right,
all right, we'll see you soon, buddy.
see you.
Appreciate it. Thank you.